So first for this demonstration, we'll be doing the auto dialer. And we're going to move to the agent dialer, which is our predictive dialer, the CRM, and the manager's interactions throughout the whole process. Some questions after each product. Bottom right we have for any questions throughout the video. And another thing that we'll try and demonstrate for this, we're going to show integration with Zoho CRM. Place and you don't want to use the Voicent CRM, we're going to show how we can integrate with different types of CRMs out there. So before we get started, let me just give you a brief introduction on Voicent. Voicent's been a telecom software development company since 2001. We are located in Mountain View, California, in the heart of the Silicon Valley. We develop auto reminder software, call center software, basic broadcasting software, which can broadcast on text message, voice for phone, email. Designers, so it's those intricate phone systems banks use and most large companies use to navigate their phone systems. We offered designer tools for that. So those could be multi-tiered questionnaire type systems, interactions, things like that. Our software on a buy it to own it model, so you can buy our software and own it. That has the highest return on investment out of all of the dialer markets leasing, which should be priced competitively with everyone else. So to start, we're going to the most basic scenarios in the beginning. So as we jump in, we're going to try and demonstrate the most commonly used scenario with our software. One I would say would be most often used. This makes it a lot easier to pre-screen your leads. And like I was saying earlier, is the auto dialer can call somebody with a pre-recorded message. Then if the person that you called is interested, they can press 1 to transfer. Then that transfer can go to your cell phone, your desk phone, an agent group, or somebody logged into our like this. So it's something that we recommend. It makes our software a lot more capabilities are unlocked. So basically your agents would log in. This is what they would answer transfers in. This is what we will be using as this demonstration. We're not going to transfer to a standard telephone. This is the broadcast by phone software. It has a spreadsheet style feel to it. Import a record. A record can be text, CSV, a couple different formats, and when you import it, ask you for the name column. You don't have to have a name column. The software only needs a phone column to be able to make phone calls. You select the name column. Notice the first row is not a real record. It's actually the import file headers. You would just check this box. And then I'll explain what this ZID is later. Import this one record. Now we have one record imported. Alrighty, let's go ahead and save this campaign here. So broadcast by phone webinar example. On the actual phone call that goes out, we are using a webinar design here. Into broadcast by phone, you have this message designer, which is it's a really straightforward. Once you use it once, it's really easy to customize your messages and fine tune them here. And just a brief summarize version of this is that this is where you design your message. One message for answering machine. And the only difference between a human message and the answering machine is the human can actually press something. So the human message might be a little different. Like, for example, you're going to tell them what to press to do what events. And in the answering machine, up and maybe you tell them to call back or something like that. So we have our message design here. This is using computerized text-to-speech instead of a pre-recorded file. Recorded files are better. They're more audible over the phone. You can hear them. It's not in a computerized voice, which might be, you might be able to detect that it's a computerized voice. So people are more likely to hang up if they know it's a computer rather than an actual pre-recorded audio file and stuff like that. We're going to tell it to press 1 to transfer. That lets the system transfer to an agent logged in. If all agents are busy, then they'd put into a transfer queue and things like that. And if you don't want to transfer to an agent logged into our agent software here, specify a telephone number. All transfers would just go to that telephone number. It's going to transfer to any agent logged in. We can start the campaign. So let's go ahead and start it. We're going to select the message we designed, webinar. Now it's calling out. So if you notice this ZID column, it has a really long ID there. That ID is the CRM's record. And answer this call and press 1. I press 1, it's transferring. So if you notice here, let me go ahead and answer that. So the top right, you can answer to reject it. So that ZID, it was sent to this. Now we have the Zoho CRM record instantly presented to us, and that's all triggered from broadcast by phone. So if you have leads inside a CRM system like this, you can export those leads into a spreadsheet style format. So you might have 3 columns, you might have 50 columns. It doesn't matter how many columns you have, we only need a phone number. So as long as you have a phone number, only utilize those leads in your existing CRM. So now if I go back to the agent desktop here, now this is an actual web browser built in. When the call gets connected, you're immediately brought directly to their CRM record. This can work similarly for Sugar CRM, Salesforce, Zoho, a lot of even Microsoft CRM. So there's a lot of different CRMs that this software can work with little or no effort to get up and running. And this integration is usually covered with our setup services that people can purchase. So if you don't have your own developers, we can integrate your CRM with our system for a small fee. And if you don't want to use, or if you don't have an existing CRM and you don't want to use something they already have, our CRM is directly integrated with our software. So this makes it a lot easier. Voicent has more control over everything since it's created by Voicent. Later in the video, we'll cover a little bit what it can do and things like that, what the best benefits are with it and everything. I cover the scripting. So on the right here, we have a very basic script letting people know what to say when they're connected on the phone. And I'll cover how that was actually designed. So this is basically a phone call triggered from our broadcast by phone. We had the custom design message here. Received the phone call. There in the confirmation areas at the bottom of the designer, I pressed 1 to transfer. That transfer went directly to desktop here. And then now I can go ahead and release this call in the top right. Go ahead and update this CRM record as, say they're interested, and release it. When you're connected on a call, you have the answer, reject. After you hang up the call, you have what we call is wrap-up time to finish notes. Maybe you want to change their CRM record or whatever you need to do. Then once you release it, you're no longer busy, and you being an agent can potentially receive more calls. So that's kind of how it works, is you get connected, you can hang up, enter notes, comments, do whatever you need. Then once you release, you're back in the agent group to receive calls. So that was a pretty quick rundown with broadcast by phone, having the pre-recorded message. If anybody has any broadcast by phone specific questions, if anybody's curious about text-to-speech, pre-recorded audio files, anything like that, just feel free to ask a question down here in the bottom right of the chat. If nobody had any questions, we'll resume in about a minute here. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next part. We just covered the broadcast by phone. So we'll call people, play a message, then they can press 1 to transfer if they're interested, things like that. You don't need a third-party service. We actually recommend using the integrated CRM here. So this, you can purchase this from us, or this is actually included in our suite or the auto dialer suite. So if you purchase one of these monthly subscriptions, they include everything. So you can get our CRM, which is fully integrated. It's all the software, everything works naturally. So I'm gonna cover that in a few seconds here. Agent dialer, which is almost the exact same as broadcast by phone. The only difference is that it detects a human. So when this system makes an outbound phone call, it finds a human, or we think we found a human. We're going to send that instantly to an agent logged in. And the transfer be almost instant. Now there's no pre-screening, so your agents that are logged in are going to have to basically say the same thing over and over again, rather than broadcast by phone playing a message, and then they can press 1 to be interested. So those leads will have more substance to them, but difficult for people to hang up if they think they're being called by over a robot. So there's benefits, and it's the same import. In column, phone column, and the first row is a header, so we check that, and then we import. So same thing as broadcast by phone. Columns imported. The message designer, the same type of thing, except you can't do events. You can play an audio file, but it's still going to transfer to your agents right away. So let's go ahead and save this. Let's go ahead and start this up. So we're going to go ahead and start this. More options in our software. This demonstration is only going to cover the most commonly used scenarios. So this won't cover any developer and more advanced situations. Over Zoho CRM, but how you can actually just use our CRM directly. Let me go ahead and answer this call. Hello. The system detects my voice in real time, and if you saw there, it was only about a 1 second, actually pretty fast. And so this is the manager. This is where the manager who's running the call center is going to have this running locally next to him. That's going to let him in real time keep track of his drop rate ratio, because FTC laws, you have to maintain a threshold. You can see in real time your campaigns, the progress, their succeeding or fail rates, and even agent statistics. So if people who are idle, busy, wrapping up, you can whisper coach them to see if you're hiring new agents and they don't know what to say. You could whisper into their headset to tell them what to say. Control a lot of things here. So like we have a time zone system that adjusts the allowed time frame. So if you're calling somebody on the East Coast, or is it ahead of somebody on the West Coast? You're not to call them at 9 p.m. when you wanted to call somebody in the West Coast at 6 p.m. So our system can compensate for time zones. It'll look at the area code. And control his agents here. Things that your manager can do is what an agent can modify. So when you're hiring new people, you might want to restrict them access to our CRM. You might want to only let them see details. You might not want them to update them. Using our CRM, you can get some pretty advanced control over your CRM records. Hide everything from a user, or you can show everything to a user. You can show everything and restrict them from editing it, or you can show them everything and give them full control to update it, delete it, add new records, and everything like that. An administrator, so I'll have full access. So here, I'm going to go ahead and go inside this CRM record. So this is we have Zoho CRM, which is here, our CRM page, which is directly integrated. So this is the CRM directly. This is something else that your manager can have running on their computer. So they can have this running directly, and then this is what your agents see. So they see a little bit, the same thing, just a little bit more restricted, a little bit smaller to it. Their business, job title, we have categories. Have your agents update the do not call of somebody. So if somebody wants to say not be called anymore, you can check that. Save changes, and inside the CRM, be instantly updated, and that's going to right there. So you notice the permission was changed real time. And say change the business Voicent. And if we refresh the CRM, business Voicent updated directly. So that is actually really easy to set up. When you install our software, these two things are going to work together seamlessly. It's very easy, and we recommend it. And it's priced effectively as well. Some other advanced options of our CRM is you can actually send text messages directly from it. You can do other things like that. I don't have my modem configured on my test machine here, but you could any type of notification. If your agent was connected to somebody not near a computer, couldn't read an email, they had a smartphone with texting on it, that message directly. Phone calls can be called from here directly. Emails from websites. like the web browser that I mentioned earlier. So that's going to be agent dialers coverage. It's the only difference from broadcast by phone is agent dialer transfers instantly. Broadcast by phone kind of pre-screens phone calls before they get transferred. If anybody has any questions about broadcast by phone or agent dialer software at all. It's about call transfers, actions between the CRM and the agent dialer. If you want to use Zoho CRM, then you will need to create a Zoho account. In this example, we're showing you Zoho CRM and Voicent CRM. Voicent CRM, you don't need to do anything. This is, if you install the CRM, it will be turned on by default, and you will get all these controls here. You only need to their pricing structure. You will have to have a Zoho account for this to work with Zoho if you plan to integrate with them. All right, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the more advanced features inside our CRM. And the big difference between being integrated with Voicent is, like I showed you, is that since it's created by Voicent, we give you a lot of more things. So this do not call system is going to be all of our software. So if you're using, pull this web page up, if you're using any of this software on this page, any software created by Voicent, time any of this software is going to potentially call someone, if this do not call is checked in their CRM record, all of our other software will directly reflect that and will not call them. Now, in Zoho CRM, if you're maintaining your opt-out list there, you might have to do something a little bit extra to get that to be as ours. And like I showed you earlier, you can send text messages. Since we offer text messaging services here, SMS, which is a mass outbound text message system, or you can create an IVR Studio design, which can support mass inbound text messages. So if you wanted to receive text messages, doesn't that? But we also give your agents the control to send text messages from this interface. A huge benefit of our dialers is that anytime you dial any phone number, if you have their name and their phone in these two columns, CRM record is instantly created. Record here would instantly be created if it doesn't exist. The 20,000 leads, as you're dialing them, they're going to be inserted into the CRM instantly. And then if your agents get connected here, if you notice this window, the second one to the bottom, your agents will have information that the dialer does. So we'll have their name, phone, and the ZID from these columns here. So this information is going to be sent to your agents as their CRM record being pulled up instantly. So that's just really easy to get working. When you install it, all of those features will basically become enabled and should work. Clicks, you're just installing things. So something else that's also stored instantly is call history. So if you wanted your Zoho CRM to keep track of call history, you would have to do some extra integration, but our CRM is automatically maintained internally. You don't have to do anything. Basically going to be done default. Just makes it really easy for you. So this CRM record here that we have. So as you notice, we have the do not call checked. And like I said earlier, that's going to directly reflect that when you try to call somebody at all. Some agents need to schedule callbacks. We actually integrated that directly with our CRM. So each customer's information is going to be stored with the callback. So we have full callback integration so that if you do need to, say, create a new callback like this, one for 30, phone test number, and say they're interested but wants to talk later, we'll go ahead and save that. Here, let's go ahead and close that window. Something else that you're to have direct access to. So if you notice here, we have the callback that was created. It's yellow. It hasn't expired yet. Red means it's nobody called them. Green means it's done. Manager is going to be able to change, modify, assign to somebody else. They'll be able to see in real time all the callbacks being created. Window, Zoho CRM might not offer the same callback type system, or you might have to do things a little bit different. You can create callbacks from here as well, which will give you, control to reassign absent agents to other ones and see all the campaigns created. So this gives you a little bit of the same tools that our manager gives you. The real control house of the call center. So from broadcast by phone, we have the designer, just to cover one of the participants' questions. They're curious as to how they can get a column to be read user when you're calling out. So in the ZID column, we have a really long ID number. And if you, for example, wanted to read that to the person over the phone, so this reads hello, contact name. Now this contact name box is going to take what's ever inside the name column and input that there, and using text to speech, which is the computer talking for you, it's going to be able to pronounce their voice, or it'll at least attempt to. Some type of collection system. You maybe want to say the debt over the phone, or their name, or maybe their debtor, the bank that issued it, things like that. You could actually use that on the message as you're calling out. And there's no limit to that. If you have 20 columns, you can have 20 columns being used on the actual outbound phone call. And like we showed you earlier, any columns that you do have will be sent to the agent as long as they're using our Voicent dashboard here. All right, so we covered the agent dialer, the broadcast by phone, most of the CRM, and most of the manager. A little bit here is our scripting. So if you look on the right there, we're using a Voicent created basic script. It's just a quick mock-up to demonstrate what it offers and how it how it works. So when your agents are connected, you need to know what to say. And if you're constantly hiring new people, or if your business is growing, you don't want to have to train everyone all the time. This script is going to let people just kind of jump in and at least attempt to know what to say. Here is basically for Voicent, we might receive a phone call and it might break down into, say, sales or support. We offer paid support services and free support services. So once the agent can figure out if this is a paid support, free support, then they just kind of navigate as they go. Then the most common free support scenarios are going to be listed here. Then once the agent finds the appropriate category, just keeps following the structure. And it tells them what to ask as well. So this script can be extremely huge, it can be very small, depends on what your business needs. Then after they ask this question again, it just keeps going down this tree structure. And this is going to tell them exactly what to say. And then that wraps up that free support call. The agent might have been here for a few days. It doesn't really matter. The script is going to actually tell them exactly what to say. And this script is going to be actually created in our same IVR studio. So like I said earlier, the outbound and inbound text messaging systems, outbound, inbound phone calls, scripts, all of those things are going to be created in this IVR system. Typically created in here as well. So the script that I just showed you was made in this tree system here. Once you start using it, then it's pretty straightforward. It's easy and it makes a lot of sense. This is just going to let you create things really fast. You can constantly change it, update it, add new sections. So as your business evolves, this thing can evolve with it. It's very easy. Here's an example phone menu system to receive incoming calls. Pretty advanced type of software. So if you're doing outbound calls, you can design something pretty advanced like this, or if you're receiving phone calls, you can do some pretty advanced things. All right, now does anybody have any questions over the scripting system, IVR Studio, the manager, or the CRM at all? The chat in the bottom right here. All right, so it looks like there's no questions. We're gonna go ahead and, before we wrap up, we're gonna cover some of the last features of the call center manager in the CRM. So some of the other benefits that your manager will have control of. So at the end of a campaign, you kind of want to see the productivity of things. You want to know basically how your business is growing, or if they're not growing at all. You want to be able to see that directly. If you're calling one state over a different state, you want to be able to know where's the sweet spot. Campaign reports, you can select a time frame. You're going to get a full list of all campaigns done. Make my time frame a little bit smaller here. Campaigns that have been done in the past 2 days off of this Voicent system here. Generating the report. And this is all exportable into Excel as well. So for these examples, this is the one that I did earlier, the broadcast by phone webinar test. The 2 tests that were done, 1 phone call resulted in abandoned, and 2 phone calls resulted in other status codes. Now the other is, which means that the agent didn't disposition them. It didn't say interested, not interested. Interested, not interested, how many people opt out, cold. So once you have campaigns running, all of this data and these pie charts will be populated. Mine was a pretty basic test, so these pie charts that are blank don't have any call results. So like right here, we have 5 tests. They were others. Campaign where you had 100 people opt out, and then another one where 5 people opted out. You're going to see a difference there, and you might want to rethink the campaign that has many more opt-out users. And then some other features as well is agent reports. So system is going to keep track of all agent activities, talk time, wrap-up time, how long they're idle. So this is going to let your agents know if they need to hire more employees, lower the employee workforce, readjust your campaigns to get your agents to be more busy. Maybe you need to double your phone lines, start calling more people. So for this 93% idle time, it's pretty high. That's not that much productivity, which is good. You want them talking as little as they can. This is going to give you the ability to see, once you have, say, 20 agents, 50 agents, you'll have all the pie charts here, and you'll be able to look at the statistics there for each one respectively. And then some of the other features before we wrap up with the manager, we have the custom agent fields. So our CRM has these preset fields here. Go ahead and pull our CRM open. CRM default comes with all of these fields, except for how many cars you own, how did you hear about us, source. You can add any column you want. So if your business has some specific thing that they need to ask for the people you're calling, fly, and that would be a custom field. So we have these 3 custom fields: big columns, small columns. This information can be searched by your agents here. You can find records, so let's go ahead and search for my record. Found it, so I searched as the first name, Henry. It will populate here, so it's pretty straightforward. You can contacts on people. So we have like a new customer contact here, callbacks, voicemail options, full control over their ringers, their audios, their voicemails. A versatile type of software. We have an advanced scripting system, so if you have developers that need something custom, we have the resources to do so. All right, so we covered the broadcast by phone, auto dialer. It can call people pre-recorded message. We covered the agent dialer. It'll call people. If it detects a human, they're transferred instantly. We covered the Zoho CRM and the Voicent CRM. Lastly, we covered the call center manager, which is the basically control house over your call center. And a little bit of the IVR studio. So that pretty much wraps up the demonstration. Now, if anybody has any questions at all, they can be pricing, how the software works, anything like that. Can we set up one phone? What phone systems it uses? Anything? Then you can ask questions in the chat in the bottom right. The 30-day system, you can cancel at any time. And when you do cancel, your license will be voided at the end of the 30 days. But it's perfect for getting a fully featured test. When downloaded and installed, all systems are synced together. So in the event that you want to use our CRM, our manager, and our dialer, when you install them, they will all work intuitively together. There's going to be a quick little setup wizard that just asks you 2 or 3 questions. It's pretty straightforward and it'll all work seamlessly. So this is actually a call center demonstration. So that specific scenario wasn't demonstrated, but broadcast by phone has an API that lets things remotely be triggered. So if you needed, when your water lines are down and you want to contact people automatically, or if you do need to remotely control it, you can actually remotely connect to our software. And our software would be perfect for a water line down notification type system. When using the software, all windows won't natively be open together. We actually recommend having the Voicent dashboard. So the agent interface would be on one computer, and then we recommend having the CRM on a separate computer. But if you wanted to, just like I did on this demonstration, you can have all 3 running here together. So if you have 3 monitors, perfectly. So the support for that is going to be 1 phone support a month, and you'll get the free upgrades, and you'll get continued email support. Then also, if you need to move your recurring license to another computer, that would be covered as well. So when you buy the software to own it, it's from one computer to another. It's a one-time license. But when you're a recurring customer, if you have the support service, then you can move that license from one computer to another, buying a separate license. For the water notification system, if you wanted to remotely control it, then you'll need the Enterprise Edition one-line system. If you want to manually notify your customers, then the professional one-line system would be perfect. But the Enterprise Edition, the one channel here, and then upgrade that to Enterprise to get the remote control features. So if you were at your home on your laptop and you wanted to connect to your work computer to start the broadcast, the Enterprise Edition would support that. Enterprise Edition also lets you, in the event that you do want to develop an automated system, you would get full control to our API, which is documented here. Then if you don't have developers, you can have Voicent develop something like that for $3,000, something like that, depending on the scope of it. And if you more advanced questions, or if you have any comments, concerns, or any questions at all, I'm going to leave my contact information in the so my email would be henry@voicent.com, and you can call me at 408-716-0567, extension 777. And the agent login software here used to answer transfers. When you transfer to a telephone number, the only thing you get is a caller ID. Transfer to our Voicent dashboard, the agents only need to log in so that we can keep track of their data. Gives you full control since it's integrated. We can send the Voicent dashboard more information than we could to a normal telephone. And then we definitely can do customizations on a company's needs. So depending on the scope, customization, but anything can be done. Like I said earlier, we're actually we're a telecom and a software development company, so we can do both. So if our software doesn't support something, we have the software developers that can add on to those features or kind of do customized projects entirely for. The telephone lines that our system can use are going to be any type of telephone lines. So let me go ahead and pull up some of our phone systems. So if you notice right here under setup voice and with, support all of these. These are the most common scenarios. We support VoIP, which is recommended. You don't need phone lines everywhere. We can use analog phone lines. So if you're a water district, I'm assuming you're going to have analog phone lines. And there's just a little piece of hardware made by Cisco that you would need to buy. Then our software, since our software runs on a Windows computer, would be able to make phone calls out that SPA device. A 10-line system could notify everyone really fast. It could be 10 people per minute. And then 30 minutes, you could notify 300 people with 10 phone line system. Line given a 1-minute message. Then you could also integrate the text message system as well in the emails. So if your customers wanted multiple contact mediums, you could add on to that. So in the broadcast by phone suite, the 3 lines per user means when you buy this monthly service, give you 3 phone lines. So upon purchase, you can call 3 people at one time. You don't have to use all 3 phone lines, but the can support 3 phone lines per subscription. So if you have 3 of those, you would have 9 phone lines total. All right, perfect. Then if you have any questions on your current purchase there, I put my contact information in the chat. You should only see my chat. You shouldn't see other participants. So feel free to ask any questions if you have anything about the CRM, the manager, or the agent dialer. You can open up 3 broadcast by phones, each with 1 phone line, or you can have 1 broadcast by phone that can have 3 phone lines. So if you had, so if I have records here, if I had a 3-line system, it would call these 3 records at the exact same time. And then once it's done with 1, start this one. So what it basically means is you can only have 3 each. Easy. If you want to split it up on the broadcast page, so when you go to broadcast, you're going to see this. To the options, you can tell it use no more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So if you wanted 3 broadcasts by phones with 1 line each, then you're going to need to set this to 1 on each one. So that way each spreadsheet only uses 1 of the phone lines. And then you can also you can restrict each broadcast by phone. So if you have one campaign for Spanish and one for English, you can type all of your group. So if you use our group system, you could transfer everyone in this list to the Spanish group, to agents specifically. So if you have agents logged in, Henry, an agent named Josh, you can transfer it to agents specifically in each campaign as well. If you need to do multiple campaigns at the same time. All right, so we got a couple more minutes left. All right, so next week we are going to have the webinar will be for automated reminder system. So if that's something that you're interested, you can go ahead and sign up on our webinar page in the next one. This one's going to end right now. I'm going to leave you my contact information again. Feel free to give me feedback, comments, questions, or concerns. And thanks for everyone for participating. You have a great day.